All right, so we've all seen these like financial gurus or whatever saying that instead of buying coffee, if you just don't spend the $6 on coffee every day and you put that into a Roth IRA for 40 years, then you'd have $1 million. And it's bullshit. Like, yes, that is true. That's true. But I'm here to tell you that you can still invest for your future. You can still get ahead while drinking coffee. This is just ridiculous that they're saying this stuff because there's other levers and there's other things that you can change right now that will have a much more drastic effect than cutting out coffee for the rest of your life. And I say this because, all right, I'm 40 years old and my finances were really kind of a wreck until around 4 to 5 years ago. I had different debts. My credit was bad. And so I had negative net worth. And now I have almost 17K in savings in a high yield savings account. So I'm getting interest on that. And I did it buying coffee the whole time, every day. I just going out, buying a coffee. And so there's something that I want to share with you, right? The biggest thing that you can do is to lower your credit card debt. The whole thing here is um, like go out, buy coffee, do the things that are going to make you feel good throughout the day, but at the same time make sure that you have compound interest working in your favor. That's the big thing. uh, all of us have compound interest working in our lives. I made a video about this where I was just giving personal finance advice that I wish I had in my 20s. You can check that out somewhere in one of the corners up here. But one of the things that I talked about in there was having compound interest working in our favor. And I bring that up because I got on this little card. I like Googled some stuff before this. And so the average credit card debt in America. So the average amount of debt that an American citizen has on their credit card is $6,000. That's the average credit card debt. And the average interest rate is 24%. So you might say, okay, like what do these numbers even mean? Why does this matter? Right? Well, if you have $6,000 on your credit card at a 24% interest rate, that means you're paying the credit card company $1,440 per year for the money that you borrowed from them. That's just an extra. That means your personal income. That's an extra $1,440 that you're paying that you didn't have to if you just didn't borrow money from them, right? So uh, that equates to around $120 a month. Now you can put that pay off your credit card so that you're not paying interest on them. Like even if you use your credit cards, that's fine, but pay it off in full by the next month. Pay it off in full so you don't get any interest charge and the money that you would be putting towards interest, you can put that into an index fund, put that into a Roth IRA, a high yield savings account, S&P 500, whatever. Um, that's going to be more beneficial for you than cutting out coffee. But here's the one thing that I did, because I promised I'd share the biggest thing. This is the one thing that I did that helped me be able to go from negative net worth to saving and gaining interest on my money and having compound interest working in my favor. You want to set yourself up so that you're like the credit card company, where it's like your money is making you more money, not the opposite, right? And so there's all these complicated ways that we can dive into this by dissecting numbers and percentages and all that stuff. And I like to keep things simple. And so here's what I did. I decided a set amount. Actually, before I share this, this is what most people do, right? And this is what I used to do when my net worth was negative and could never seem to get ahead. What I used to do is I would get paid, and then I would immediately just pay all the bills. This sounds sensible, right? Like you get paid, okay, we got the money, pay all the money comes in, and then it immediately goes out, pays all the people that I owe, right? And yeah, that will like keep your credit from going in the toilet, like doing that. So that's good, I guess, right? But when it comes to getting ahead, uh, I made a little shift, and so like I said, I used to pay everybody, pay all the bills as soon as I got paid. And then I would look at what was left over, and then I would buy the things that I wanted to buy, um, or that I needed to buy, like maybe food, groceries, things like that, um, gas in the car. And then I'd look at what's left over and be like, okay, now out of what's left here, what can I buy for my own entertainment? And then I would buy some of that stuff. And then whatever was left over, like at the very end, I would be like, I'm going to save and put this in my savings account. It never happened. I never saved. I was always paycheck to paycheck when I was doing things this way. And so this is the shift. Super easy. Instead of having the saving thing be the last thing that I do when money comes in, I took that task and I put it in front of everything else, in front of paying the bills. So I decided for myself, okay, I'm going to save 30%. And you can make this number be whatever you want it to be. But I decided for myself, okay, I'm going to save 30% of all the money that hits my bank account. And so this means when a check comes in, I see the deposit in my online banking statement. I see it there. I take that number, I open up my calculator, and I take the number that's deposited and I times it by zero point 0.3. And whatever number pops out after that, I'm like, that's 30% of what was just deposited. Before I do anything else, I move that 30% into a high yield savings account. You can put it really anywhere. You can put it in the S&P 500, but just know that wherever you're putting it, it's staying there. It's like you didn't even get it. It's not like, okay, if I spend too much, I can pull it out of there. Like, no, this is like this money has disappeared. You treat it this way, right? And so I take that 30%, I put it into the high yield savings account where I get like 4.35% interest on the money that's in there. And out of what's left, after I transfer that money out, that's when I go, okay, now we're going to pay all the bills. Now we're going to pay all the expenses. Now we're going to buy groceries, get gas. Because, and I do it this way because it makes sure that I'm saving every month. And you can do this no matter what your income is. Maybe your income's a little bit smaller and you want to save 10% instead of 30, right? The cool thing is you start doing this and then you start doing different things to increase your income, increase the amount of money that you actually make, and you can save more. You can be like, okay, I just got a raise, so instead of saving 10%, I'm saving 15, and I'm keeping my cost of living the same. It's a lot easier, at least for me, to make the savings be the first thing that I do instead of run around my life and look at all the little things like coffee and like little things that I can change. Oh, I could save $5 here, or like if I just get this generic thing instead of the name brand, I save $2 and I'll put that in my investment portfolio. It's like even if I do the mental jumping jacks of trying to figure out like does this make sense to get the name brand whatever or the generic groceries. If I do end up saving a couple dollars after doing that, I don't go move that into an investment account. I just go, oh yeah, I saved $3, and it doesn't affect my future finances whatsoever. So the thing that has made the most sense for me, and I'm willing to bet that it will for you too, is just saving first. The money comes in, and then the first thing that you do, the first transfer of money, move it into something where you're gaining interest. Now, if you are one of the Americans with $6,000 credit card debt, um, pay that off first. That percentage, that 30%, 20% that you want to be putting into investments or saving or something like that, instead of putting it into investments, take that 20% or 30%, whatever the number that you chose, and apply it to your credit cards. Apply it to your credit cards first. Because if you're putting this money into a high yield savings account, or maybe even like S&P 500 with like an average of 8% returns per year, well, if you have debt on your credit card, that's 24%. that you want to pay that off. And then once that's paid off, then you're taking that money and putting that into something that's going to grow for you. But you don't need to cut out coffee to do any of this stuff. So yeah, I think the reason why that became a thing. First of all, there's the website called the Latte Effect, where it's like you go to the latteeffect.com and you can see if you're spending this much on coffee and you put it in this much, how much it would be over this amount of time. Spending $6 on coffee, if I put that $6 somewhere where I get 8% return on investment for 40 years, I'd have a million, whatever. But like, sounds like it'd be a miserable 40 years. I'm 40 years old right now. I don't want to start doing that and not have coffee till I'm 80. This is ridiculous. And so I'm just pointing out probably something that all of you guys already know. This is crazy. These financial gurus are getting, I mean, they're smart. I mean, because that's how they got to where they are, but they're saying some pretty dumb stuff. And like, it's really basic. All you have to do is just move money, pay, I was going to say move money into savings that gives you a nice interest, like a high yield savings or index fund, IRA, something like that, after you've paid off the lingering credit card debt. That's it. And then you just continue to do that. Simple. You can drink coffee the whole time. That's all I got. See you guys.